How did we get here? Let me show you. Just south of the border, the deadliest war on the North American continent was wrapping up. The dead were counted in the millions. Refugees flooded across the border, a pair of brothers among them. They brought something with them, seemingly harmless, but had the potential to tear the United States apart. Cannabis. Weed, pot, the sticky icky. Cannabis goes by many names. The more racism-inclined Americans had a name for it too. Marijuana, a word crafted by the American government to dissuade the public from ingesting the stuff, as they feared it would darken the skin tone of Americans. Chemically speaking, the cannabis flower contains roughly 400 different compounds. For reference, most foods have about 8,000 different compounds. We call the compounds that act on our brains cannabinoids, and there are a little under 200 of them. But for the sake of time, I'm only going to focus on these two. THC and CBD. The relaxing effects of cannabis derive from CBD, while the intoxicating effects come from THC. Fast forward to 1971, the production rates in the US started to drop, and we couldn't have that, could we? Luckily, we had a jack up our sleeve: prison. The president decided that the detention system in the US was a source of free labor and began flooding the system with pot users, which in retrospect is hilarious. Making lazy stoners do hard labor? Yeah, right. But the law was set down and set the precedent for the American polarization crisis. 100 years after it was first brought to the US, Colorado became the first state to legalize cannabis, and simultaneously the first state to begin questioning the authority of federal law. Others followed suit. Aggressive and fierce debate sprung up. It's against God's will, said the Republicans. It's harmless, said the Democrats. The debate continued for the next 4 years until it reached the presidential debate stage in 2016. A clean split. This was the first time the American culture war became evident. While the Republicans rejoiced, the Democrats were absurdly furious. Instead of having the first black president and the first woman president back to back, they got another celebrity president. For the first time since the Civil War, people were more dedicated to their party than their country, and by God did it not help that the majority of Democrats live in cities. 4 years later, the Democrats win the election. While the Democrats rejoiced, the Republicans were absurdly furious. Instead of having the first layman president in office again, they got an old, lifelong politician. The Republican candidate was deified. For the second time since the Civil War, people were more dedicated to their party than their country. Then the pandemic happened, and the internet became the greatest polarization agent the world has ever seen. Both Democrats and Republicans radicalized. Liberals became communists, Republicans became fascist, and the entire American voting system began to decay. All of this because of a plant.